Well, tens of thousands of protesters have gathered here, as you can see behind me. The mood is incredibly upbeat, but people here are very, very angry. They're very frustrated, and they say they're going nowhere. They're prepared to sit what's already been called a second revolution out. Many of the protesters I've been talking to say that they're prepared to die for the cause. Now, we're just hearing reports that a few people have been badly injured, possibly killed. There are sporadic outbursts of violence amongst the protesters and security forces. It's very difficult to tell exactly what's going on inside this crowd, and certainly people are afraid, they're frightened, but people saying that they really have a real sense of making history and making sure that this time the Tahrir demonstrations will work. The violence that we've seen over the past few days has been the worst violence witnessed in Egypt for some months. There's a lot of criticism being leveled at the army and the police for its heavy-handedness, with many people saying that this violence points to the lurking generals and the way they operate with Mubarak. What this essentially means is that many people feel that both Mubarak and the military regime that replaced him are one and the same. And that is the main reason why people are out in the streets, despite the fact that there are parliamentary elections being scheduled for Monday, the first such elections in the post-Mubarak period. Most people here say that they do not believe that those elections will be free and fair, and that the military has every intention to remain in power. Most people here, in fact all the people here, do not feel there has been any change. If anything, the only thing that's changed is that back in February, when we saw that first revolution, there was a real sense of hope, a real sense of wanting to make a different country, in a sense that it could be achieved. There's a lot of despondency here, there's a lot of disappointment, and that's why we're witnessing this outburst of anger and frustration on the streets of Tahrir Square. It's also raised the question of the viability of those elections that I spoke to you about, those elections that are supposed to happen on Monday. Already several political parties as well as independent candidates say that they will be suspending their electoral platforms. The irony of all of this is that Egyptians are worried that the violence we are witnessing here might be a good enough excuse for the military council in power to postpone those elections. So you could see this kind of violence and this kind of outpouring of anger backfire on the people. But again, speaking to protesters and certainly listening to the slogans calling on the military to step down, the slogans saying that Tahrir has been retaken, all of this is an inspiration to people that this revolution, perhaps in the way that the first revolution failed, they are insisting that this revolution will succeed.